Hello students. For this lecture, we will talk about the professional adjustment in the nursing profession. Here's just a brief history of nursing jurisprudence and the different laws involved in our nursing practice. In the year 1915, during the time of the Commonwealth, there were no actual nursing law that governed our practice. It was only in 1915, the Act 2493 was instituted to regulate the practice of medicine here in the Philippines. Come 1990, RA 2808 instituted the first nursing law where it created the Board of Examiners for nursing. In the recent years or in the years forward, other measures to regulate the practice of nursing were instituted, like the registration of nurses, which is said in RA 877. Okay, and there's some reforms, no, in the nursing education which occurred during the provisions of Republic Act 4704, and as well as the Nursing Act of 1991, which is your 7164, and the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002, which is your RA 9173. To date, the primary nursing law that govern our profession is RA 9173, okay, or the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002. As per the BSN curriculum or the plan of study for our profession, it evolved in a number of ways. Initially, during the time of the American occupation, nursing profession was only limited, no, to high school education. So once you graduate in high school, you'll have you can take, you can take an examination for you to be considered as a nurse. After the American occupation and during the early years of our republic, the nursing profession gradually increased, no? Yung requirements for you to become a nurse become more complicated, no? Noong 1940s to 1960s, 1970s, 1980s, late 1970s, nag-start yung graduate nursing program, no? Wherein 3-year course, no? 3-year course ang nursing, no? Mga graduate nurses ang kung tawagin. In 1983, no, the graduate nursing program was phased out, no, and the collegiate degree for BSN, for the Bachelor of Science in Nursing, was rolled out, no, in 1983. So those who took the 3-year course were mandated to have a supplementary course, no, another year, for them to be considered as registered nurse, no. No, time goes by and nag-develop yung ating curriculum. In 1998, nagkaroon ng Associate in Health Science Education, no? O yung tinatawag na ASE. Now, the ASE is a general or a templated curriculum wherein the first 2 years, no, the first 2 years were common for all allied health sciences, no, mapa nursing, mapa medtech, no, mapa radiologic technology. After the 2 years, no, of ASE curriculum, you can choose which path you want to take in health science education, no? So part ng ASE curriculum noon yung nursing curriculum. So after the ASE, you'll be you will be proceeding with the actual nursing, no? Nursing program or the nursing course. So it was implemented for almost 7 years, no? 7 years, where they develop another curriculum for the nursing profession, which is the CMO5, no, and the CMO14. So the one that you are taking, no, as a plan of study for your nursing, no, yung inyong curriculum, this is your CMO14. All right? CMO14. But we have a new nursing curriculum right now, no? Yung mga third year natin ngayon, or the previous years, or the incoming, no, yung mga bagong batch, nung batch after ninyo, uh, these are the students who are taking the new curriculum. Now, with all the talk of the laws and the curriculums in nursing, it is important, no, to take note of that because this is a defining characteristic of a profession. No? For you to be considered as a profession, no, a profession must be, no, a profession quote unquote must be indispensable. Your work should be an indispensable social need, no, and must be based upon well-established and socially accepted scientific principles. Ibig sabihin, dapat your work should be recognized by the society as integral for its sustenance, no, and development. Hindi lang po 'yon, no? Your profession, for it to be considered as a profession, mas dapat meron siyang kaakibat na training, kadikit na training. All right? And that training should be rooted on a body of specialized and systematized training. Because it must give evidence, no? Yung inyong profession din dapat must give evidence of needed skills which the public would not possess. Okay? Now, your body of knowledge should also be backed by scientific technique. No, yung profession na yon should be backed by a scientific technique, no, which is the result of tested experience, and it must require the exercise of discretion and judgment as to time and manner of the performance of duty. All right. So, next definition of a profession would mean that you have a group of consciousness designed to extend scientific knowledge in technical language. Ibig sabihin may kakayahang mag-research at may kakayahan din na umusad sa pamamagitan ng research ang inyong profession, and that it must have a sufficient impelling power to retain its members throughout life. Now, with those definition, can we say that our profession or the nursing profession is really a profession? We can say yes. Okay? So according to 9173 or the Republic Act of 9173 or the Philippine Nursing Act of 2002, no, a nurse is a person according to the law, no, who shall be deemed to be practicing nursing within the means of the act, no, when he or she singly or in collaboration with another initiates and performs nursing services to individuals, families, and communities in any healthcare setting. All right? So dapat you're able to provide nursing care through the utilization of the nursing process. Dapat marunong ka ring mag-establish ng linkage with with community resources, no? And you must be able to coordinate, no, with the health team. You must be able to provide health education to different levels of clientele, your individuals, families, and communities. Now, here are the key areas of responsibilities for nurses. No, this may become obsolete in the future because there's an incoming set of competencies, no, for nurses. Okay, pero as of this time, the nursing law says that you should exhibit, no, competencies in these key areas of responsibility. So number one, safe and quality nursing care. Ibig sabihin, dapat marunong ka, you are able to provide competent, no, and good quality care to your patients. Management of resources and environment refers to your ability to manage, no, different types of resources. Okay, not just the physical environment, not just the physical resources, but also other types of resources. Dapat marunong kayong gumawa ng health education, no? You must be responsible or you must be knowledgeable in terms of the legal aspect of nursing and the ethico-moral aspect of nursing. All right? Legal meaning yung statutory requirements, no, in caring for a person, while ethico-moral refers to the ethical care or ethical handling of patients, no, or the ethical dealing with your patients. Okay? Dapat you are also responsible for your own personal and professional development. You also have the responsibility to exhibit competence, no, in improving the quality of your care, no, and even the management of your records. No? You also have to exhibit competence, no, in communication, collaboration, and teamwork. Now, in the Philippines, these are the requirements, no, are the requirements of or the professional qualifications for nurses. Number one, you must be licensed, no, to practice nursing in the country. Have a BSN degree, no, which you got from a duly, no, recognized, no, institute, no, higher learning institution, no, that offers Bachelor of Science nursing degree, and that you are physically and mentally fit. Now, when we talk of license, when we say license, this is the legal document given by the government that permits you, no, to offer to the public your services as a nurse, no. Now, anything that you do, any nursing act that you do, no, uh, without without a license means you are doing it outside, no, your scope. Okay? So it leads to malpractice. Okay? So kailangan when you practice nursing, dapat you have a legal document, and that is your license. Okay? Now, license is needed because it wants to protect the people. It wants to protect the health of the people from incompetent care, no? It's one way to protect the health of the people, and it's also one way to discourage misrepresentation of nurses. No, may mga pagkakataon kasi na may nagpa-practice ng nursing na hindi naman lisensyado. Okay? So we want to misrepresent nurses. We don't want to misrepresent nurses. So we have to institute licensure. Okay? This is also the need for licensure also necessitates the control, no, of legal practice of nursing here in the Philippines. And secondary na lang din ito yung pag-use ng license to gather statistical data about nurses in the country, no. When we say statistical data, it's meant for the number, it's meant to count, no, the number of nurses here in the Philippines, okay, and those who are actively practicing and those who are not, and those whose license are uh, passed, no, paso na. Okay. Now, in licensure, the first step, no, the one of the key component of licensure is to register, no, the person's information or the professional's information. This involves recording the names, no, who have qualified under the law to practice their own profession. So, sa case natin, in nursing. Now, what are the information registered, no, in licensure? Kasama dyan yung full name, no, the number and the date of your registration, the age, the sex, and the place of birth, the place of business, the post office address, yung address ninyo, name of school, the date of graduation, and all other degrees that you have. But in the card itself, ang magre-reflect lang will be your full name, your number and date of registration, and the uh, and your birthday, no? Yung date of birth mo. Okay? But all of this will be included, no, in your registry. Okay? Ang mag-appear lang will be yung binanggit ko, yung full name, yung number and date of the registration, pati yung birth date, no? Okay. Now, the first principle in registration is the principle of do ut des, or the registration by reciprocity. The registration by reciprocity, na ginagawa ito because it revolves around the principle of do ut des, which means to give what is that we might receive, no? So registration by reciprocity is guided by the principle of do ut des. Now, this principle or this registration by reciprocity tells us that we accept registration for nurses, no, who want to practice here in the Philippines, no, because for they are offering their services, no, for free. Okay? So binibigay lamang ang registration by reciprocity to foreigners who want to practice here in the Philippines for free. No. Now, the practice, no, of nursing here in the Philippines by registration by reciprocity is only temporary, no? A temporary permit. Kanino to ibinibigay? For those foreign nurses whose services are free, sabi ko nga kanina, or there are any specialists or outstanding experts, no, who are going to give, no, their services here in the Philippines, no, to help us, no, and also for those who are exchange professors. Now, another type of registration for you to have a license is registration by examination. In this part, you are required, no, to take the test, no, the nurse licensure examination for you to be registered. Dapat magpumasa ka doon sa exam na yon para ikaw ay ma-register bilang nurse. Okay? Now, after that, the licensure examination, no, the date of and place of which is to be determined by PRC. No, PRC is Professional Regulation Commission, not Philippine Regulation Commission, ha. It's Professional Regulation Commission. Now, what are the qualifications for you to be admitted to the licensure examination? First, dapat graduate ka ng Bachelor of Science in Nursing, no? A Filipino citizen by jus sanguinis or by the principle of jus sanguinis or jus soli. Okay? And you must have good moral character. Now, what are the requirements, no? The requirements for registration by examination, kailangan makapag-submit ka ng TOR, transcript of records, with date of graduation. You should have a record of your actual RLE hours. Dati, your record of actual RLE hours. You should also have an actual number of OR and DR cases. No, yung mga cases na pinipirmahan ninyo or fini-fill up nyo ng mga forms. Now, because of the bulk volume, no, of the paper submitted to PRC, they are only now requiring a certificate of undertaking na nakumpleto nyo yung OR and DR cases. So school din naman na magbibigay sa inyo nito. Okay? You also have your birth certificate as a requirement, and that you should file this 10 days before. Yung deadline will be 10 days before of your examination. Now, by registration by examination, dapat you have, no, at least 75%, no, ng rating ninyo in all subjects taken or repeated. No? When we say repeated, these are subjects na binagsak ninyo nung una pero ni-retake nyo, dapat pumasa kayo. And the rating should be 75%, yung total, and no grade lower than 60%. No? Now, your renewal examination is only valid within 2 years of after the last failed examination. So, pwede kang mag-retake, no? Ang retake ang sistema ng retake is that it is selective, no? Kung ano lang yung binagsak mo, kung ano yung nag-fail, kung saan ka nag-fail, yun lamang ang kailangan mong ulitin. Okay? Next is the reconsideration of ratings can be filed 90 days after the release of official exam results. Now, the scope of examination is this, no? For nursing practice 1 to 5. Okay? Fundamentals of nursing, no? And CHN will cover nursing practice 1. Maternal and child nursing, second nursing practice set. Nursing practice 3 and 4 will be for nursing of adolescent and adults. Okay, yan yung MS. And lastly will be your mental health and psychiatric nursing. So this one is your NT5. Okay? Now, after your licensure examination, if you pass the licensure examination, you're still not registered, no? Because you need to take your oath. After that is you need to take your oath for you to be registered as nurses. Na usually ginagawa ang mass oath taking, no? Dati ginagawa 'yon. Okay, 15 days upon the release, no? After the release of the results of the licensure exam, ginagawa 'yon. But because of the pandemic, siguro ngayon, there will be changes, no? Actually, dati may changes naman na talaga. Hindi na nagpapamass oath taking. Ginagawa, nagpupunta sa PRC office, doon mag-oath sa harap nung registration, no? You will take your oath there, and then you'll be registered immediately. So, personal na ang oath. Hindi na siya yung isang buong grupo or malakihang grupo. Okay? Now, once you are licensed, finally you are licensed, you will get your licensure card, no? Which is only valid for 3 years. So you need to renew your registration every 3 years. Okay? Now, if you renew the palatandaan or the marker of your registration will be you need to renew it every 3 years on your birth month. Okay? So, ang palatandaan para mag-renew ka is every 3 years ng birthday mo. Okay? So, you need to renew it every 3 years on your birthday. Now, there's another requirement, no, for the renewal of your of your license. So, dapat in 3 years, mag-accumulate ka rin ng 42, no? 42 CPD units or CPE units rather. Okay, continuing professional education, CPE units. So ibig sabihin dapat mag-attend ka ng mga seminars na may katumbas na CPE units, no? And that should amount to 42. Okay? So kung sa isang taon kung 3 years na ka magre-renew, dapat sa isang taon 42 divided by 3, that's around 13, no? 13 units. Okay? So dapat mag-accumulate ka ng 13 units in a year. So dapat may 13 hours ka ng seminars na may CPE units. Okay? So yun. After 5 years, no, if ever na hindi mo na pa-renew yung iyong license within 3 years, there will be 20% surcharge, no, for every calendar year of non-registration until the 5th year. Kasi sa 5th year, kapag hindi ka pa nagpa-register, nag-lapse yung registration mo, your certificate will be considered suspended. Okay? So kahit na suspended yan, pwede pa namang maibalik sa iyo as long as you will undergo some training. Okay? Prior to registration. Okay? Now, revocation or suspension is also spelled out, no, in Art A 9173. Revocation or suspension of your revocation or suspension of your date of your license, no, can be done, no, or be imposed upon you for unprofessional and unethical conduct, no. Nire-revoke or sinususpend din ng iyong license for gross incompetence, for malpractice or negligence in the practice in nursing, for use of fraud, deceit, or false statements, for violation on any part of RA 9173, or for practicing nursing during the suspension of your own license. Now, once your revocation and suspension differ, no? Pag sinabing suspended, your practice of nursing is suspended, but your license may be with you or not with you. But when we say revoke yung license mo, sinusurrender mo yung license mo sa Board of Nursing, sa PRC. So, technically, you are suspended and you do not have your license with you. So that's the difference between revocation and suspension. Now, if your licenses or if your license is revoked, no, can you the next question is, will it be returned to me? The answer is yes, no. Your license, no, can be reissued to you 4 years after the expiration of the revocation. So after revocation, After the revocation, you need to uh, it will be reissued to you, no? It will be reissued to you. Okay? Now you're also when your revoked license can be reissued to you also when the cause of the damage or the cause of the revocation has been repaired, no? For example, your license was revoked because of certain malpractice. So after several years na pinagbayaran mo yung iyong problema or yung iyong kasalanan, it will be it can be, no, reissued back to you. Okay? Now, why is it so important, no, to practice nursing with a license? Because you are prohibited, no, to practice your nursing profession without a license. So prohibited 'yon. Di ka pwedeng kumilos, di ka pwedeng magtrabaho as a nurse kung wala kang license. Right? So ipinagbabawal din sa practice of nursing yung paggamit ng invalid certificate, no, or yung paggamit ng license ng ibang tao. Okay? It's also prohibited that you give false information to the board of nursing, to pretend as a nurse, bawal 'yon, and to append your RN, no, to your name without having been conferred with such. The next provision in your nursing law is having the board of nursing, no? Because the board of nursing is the regulatory body of our profession. Now, the board of nursing is actually part, no, of the Professional Regulation Commission here in the Philippines. So the Professional Regulation Commission is composed of different boards, and one of that is the Board of Nursing. Now, in RA 9173, okay, it was formally instituted that there should be a Board of Nursing. No? Now, the members of the board are actually appointed by the President of the Philippines and confirmed by the Commission on Appointments. No? The appointment to the post, no, is usually done by regular appointment, no, or having an ad interim appointment or a doctrine of holdover. So when we say regular appointment, no, for every vacant seat, okay, for every vacant seat, a person or an accredited professional organization, which in our case is yung PNA, will appoint, no, or will nominate 3 persons per vacancy. So one person, three nominations. Okay? So the PRC will screen this out and will choose only 2, no, and recommend it to the president. So after the recommendation of the Professional Regulation Commission, the 2 will be selected by the president and 1 will be appointed. The process doesn't end there because the appointee, no, yung na-appoint na isang board of nursing has to be confirmed by the Commission on Appointment. Now, what are the qualifications for you to become a board, no, of a board member? Number one, it can be number one, dapat natural born citizen and resident of the Philippines. Okay? Number two, he or she is a member of a good standing of an accredited professional organization for nursing. Number three, dapat registered nurse or at least have an MA degree, no? Master of Arts in Nursing degree. Number four, dapat he or she is in the practice of nursing for at least 10 years, no? Na continuous. 5 of which, no, shall be in the Philippines, and that they are not convicted of any offense involving moral turpitude, no? Wala silang kaso. Now, here are the powers and duties of the board, no? They do conduct licensure examination. Sila yung gumagawa ng exam. They issue, suspend, or revoke certificates of registration for the practice of nursing. They monitor and enforce quality standards for nursing practice in the Philippines. And they ensure quality nursing education by examining the prescribed facilities of universities or colleges. Okay? Now, the board is monitoring the performance of each school of nursing or schools offering Bachelor of Science in Nursing. When they find, no, that a certain school is poorly performing, no, in the board exam, no, they will recommend, no, to Commission on Higher Education for the closure of the program, no? So ang nagpapasarado ng nursing program upon recommendation of PRC will be the Commission on Higher Education o yung tinatawag na CHED, no? The CHED will issue an order for a school, no, to close the offering of Bachelor of Science in Nursing degree because of poor performance in the nursing licensure exam. Okay? But the closure is not immediate. The closure is gradual. So tatapusin lang muna yung lahat ng naka-enroll doon. Okay? So that mula first year to fourth year at hindi natatanggap ng panibagong enrollees. Okay? Now, let's go back to the manner of appointment. No? The first one that I've discussed is tinatawag na regular appointment. Ad interim appointment, no? Ad interim appointment is an appointment for, by the way, class, when we say appointment, no, for Board of Nursing, this is a coterminous appointment. When we say coterminous, it's the same term, no, doon sa presidenteng nag-appoint doon sa Board of Nursing. So when the term of the president ends, no, technically the bo- the tawag dito, the term also of the Board of Nursing also ends technically. Pero sometimes, no, mahirap maghanap, no, ng kapalit, no, or they're still active, no, yung nandun sa Board of Nursing, they're still active, okay? And they're still kaya pa naman, no? So kung kaya pa naman at walang papalit, no, they can hold over their position, no, to cover para may Board of Nursing pa rin. To cover for the duration, no, na walang ma-appoint na bago. So that is guided by the doctrine of holdover. No, they can still hold over kung walang papalit. Okay? But if in case hindi natapos ng isang appointee ang kanyang term, no, siguro kasi namatay, nagkasakit or what, there is what you call an ad interim appointment kung saan in the middle of the term, no, if the commissioner, no, or if the board member is not able to perform his or her duties, pwede siyang palitan, no, ng panibagong board member. No, that's ad interim because it's only to cover for the term na hindi niya natapos o hindi magampanan ng board member yung kanyang trabaho. So ad interim appointment ang tawag doon. Okay? Now, in terms of nursing practice, nililayout din ng 9173 yung mga kailangang requirements, no, for being nursing administrators or chief nurses. So for nursing administrators, kailangan daw sa kanila ay mga registered nurses and that they have 2 years experience and must be at least BSN graduate with at least 9 units in management administrators at the graduate level, and that they must be member of accredited professional organization. Kapag chief nurse naman, these are the qualifications, no? They should have these requirements plus an MAN degree and 5 years, no, of administrative experience. For those who went inactive, yung naglapse yung lisensya for more than 5 years, they need to, and want to return to practice, they need to undergo a retraining or a refresher course. Okay? Or a refresher course. So that will be around 1 month didactic and 3 months practicum. Okay? And also, ini-spell out din sa nursing practice yung salary grade na dapat for nurses. No? This is an issue, lalong-lalo na ngayon may COVID-19 na in public healthcare only, public healthcare institution, the salary grade is around 15, no? SG 15. This is not updated. I think it's around 30,000 to 34,000, no, sa panahon ngayon. Okay? For public healthcare institutions only. Here are also the requirements for nursing education, no? Kung ikaw ay when you want to practice as a nursing faculty, you must have at least 1 year of clinical experience, a holder of master's degree in nursing education or allied health sciences, or membership to accredited professional organization, no? For college deans, no, ng nursing, they should have these above requirements and the 5-year administrative experience. For ethics in nursing, I know that you have taken bioethics class with me. So if you want to review your ethical concepts, ethical principles, you may do so. Okay, you can access my channel, no, and find there the different discussions on bioethical principles. Okay, but primarily, no, our nursing profession as an actual code of ethics, no? The ICN Code of Ethics, which was formulated in 1953 and has been revised for several times. No? This code makes it clear that that inherent in nursing is the respect for human rights, including its dignity, no? The person's dignity, and that life has to be treated with respect. Yun yung pinakasentro ng ating ICN Code of Ethics. Now, the code revolves around 4 elements. No? It revolves on the nurses and people, nurses and practice, nurses and the profession, nurses and co-workers. Now, in the element of nurses and the people, it says that nurses have responsibility to people in need of nursing care. It must be considerate, no, for all people, regardless of age, sex, nationality, and religion. It has to be it has also stipulated that information about the patient should be shared conscientiously. Dapat ibinibigay sa pasyente ng tama, no? At pinag-isipan kung paano i-communicate. When we say nurses in the practice, this pertains to the to the to the aspect, no, of nursing when it comes to the profession itself, okay, on the actual practice itself, no. Sinasabi rito that nurses must be able to be healthy, no, so that they are capable of providing care which is not compromised, no. You should have the responsibility on yourself to keep yourself healthy so that your care to your patients is not compromised. It must be able to recognize individual competence, personal conduct that reflects well of the profession, and use of technology, no, can also be appropriate and is directed for the good of everyone. The third dimension is yung nurses in the profession, wherein we implement acceptable clinical nursing management, research, and education standards. Now, this is the profession that mandates us to take part, no, in improving our profession in terms of standards and in terms of knowledge, no. So we are encouraged to participate in research, okay, and participate in efforts, no, to improve the working conditions in the nursing profession. And also, the ICN Code of Ethics also espouses, no, that we sustain cooperative relationships, no, as in the element of nurses and co-workers. No, this is to safeguard the health of people when endangered by your coworkers. Dapat you should be able to cover, no, to save people, no, to protect people from any attacks from coworkers. All right. Now here are some of the also the patient's universal bill of rights. No, so I want you to read this. No, and it's available in the internet, no, you can download it, no, if you want to have a copy. So I hope, no, that you will internalize this so that you will know how to treat your patients properly. In terms of the legal aspect of nursing, we will talk about the legalities of nursing itself, no, the legalities that revolve the nursing practice. Now, the primary The primary concept that we will talk about in the legal aspect of nursing is yung tinatawag na tort. When we say tort, these are any illegal, any act that causes harm to your person or his property. It is based on the concept of act of commission or omission. Commission meaning may ginawa ka, or omission, may hindi ka, pag sinabi namang omission, may hindi ka ginawa which caused harm to your patients. No? Torts can be classified as unintentional or intentional torts. When we say unintentional torts, this falls on two, no? On two actions. Okay? Number one is yung tinatawag na professional negligence, no? Or the failure to exercise due care, no? That a reasonably prudent person would exercise, no? In like circumstances. So, ibig sabihin, if you failed what a prudent nurse should do at that very moment, then that is negligence. Okay, hindi mo ginawa. Or may ginawa ka, no? Or may ginawa ka na hindi competent. Okay, pwede rin yun. That's professional negligence. Malpractice, on the other hand, is the improper or unskillful care of a patient, no, by a nurse. It also involves stepping beyond your own authority, which results to serious consequences. Okay? Now, that's the difference between professional negligence and malpractice. Okay. Now, for you to establish an unintentional tort, no, dapat these four elements should be present. Number one, you should have a duty on a person. No, meron kang duty may duty ka sa taong dapat alagaan mo siya. And that duty was breached, and that breach causes an injury, and which resulted to further damage. So if any element is not present, no, of these elements are not present, it's difficult to establish an intentional tort. No? That's for the case of tort. Kasi kung if you did some action which resulted to injury pero wala ka namang duty dun sa tao na yon, that's not tort. Alright? That will be a crime. No? You will be charged with criminal case. Unlike kapag unintentional tort, no? This is more of a civil case or administrative case that will be filed against you. Now, here are some specific cases of unintentional torts, no? Yung hindi mo alam na ginawa mong harm. It can be, number one, it can be a failure to report your observation. It can be a failure to exercise the degree of diligence which the circumstance demand, no? Kapag hindi mo ginawa yung mga dapat mong gawin, no, for a particular event, no, or particular circumstance. Medication errors are unintentional torts. And the administration of medicine without a doctor's prescription is also, no, an unintentional tort. No, the unintentional tort or torts, no, can be determined or guided by different doctrines. The first doctrine that we will discuss is what you call your doctrine of res ipsa loquitur, no? In Latin, that's in Latin. So in English, the thing speaks for itself. Okay? So this doctrine says that you don't need additional evidence aside from the injury itself to tell you that there is negligence or malpractice. No, hindi mo kailangan ng additional evidence, hindi mo kailangan ng additional investigation para masabi mong may negligence sa part ng nurse, no? So because the injury, the thing speaks for itself. Ano yung mga bagay na yon, no? For example, no, naiwanan yung oral sponge, no, sa loob ng abdominal cavity, na close yung abdominal cavity, no? Nagkaroon ng lagnat yung pasyente, nakita sa diniagnose, tinignan yung kanyang CT scan, may naiwan na sponge, no? So the thing speaks for itself, no? Because the thing, hindi naman siya mapupunta doon kung walang kapabayaan sa surgical team. No? So the thing speaks for itself. Okay? The next doctrine is the doctrine of force majeure, where it says that no person is responsible for events which cannot be foreseen or even if foreseen is inevitable. Hindi ka po pwedeng ma-charge of negligence, no, because of force majeure. Because the nurse, as a person who has limited control, cannot control or stop, no, an event na magko-cause ng damage. No, for example, calamities, natural, either natural or man-made, may gera, no? And na-injure yung pasyente mo may because of the war, okay? You cannot be held liable for that because those calamities are out of your control. All right? The next doctrine for establishing or for guiding unintentional torts is the doctrine of respondeat superior. Okay? Respondeat superior is the French term, okay? And the English term or the English meaning would mean let the master answer for the acts of the subordinates. No? The respondeat superior is a concept wherein you extend, no, the liability, okay? The liability of of the unintentional tort to the level, no, of the superior. Because you being a superior during the scope of your employment, you have the responsibility over or legal responsibility over your subordinates because you are supervising them. So being a superior, it's also tasking for you and more demanding for you to monitor your to monitor your subordinates, no? Just to because of the doctrine of respondeat superior. So we're done with unintentional torts, no? We will now go to intentional torts o yung talagang gusto mong gawin, no? Na mga harm, no? Inflict the harm doon sa mga pasyente mo, okay? So one of the first intentional tort that we will discuss is yung tinatawag na assault, no? Assault are those action that pose imminent threat, no, of harmful act or offensive unjustifiable bodily contact, no? For example, tinret mo yung pasyente mo, kukurutin kita pag hindi ka tumigil, no, sa pagtayo, no? Tatakutin mo yung mga elderly patient, tatayo ng tayo sa kanilang bed, no, na hindi sila bibigyan ng pagkain. That's assault, no? Because you're imposing an imminent threat of harmful or offensive unjustifiable action unto them. That's assault. Okay? Pag pinagbantaan mo. Pero kapag ka ginawa mo yung bodily contact intentionally and without consent, no, that's already not assault. That's already battery, no? Or the intentional unconsented touching of another person, no? Battery involves taking blood pressure monitoring, taking vital signs monitoring to unwilling patients, no? Without their consent, you touch their space, no? You touch them, that's already battery. Kahit hindi sila nasaktan, basta ayaw nilang magpahawak, hinawakan mo, that's considered as battery. Now, false imprisonment is another type of intentional tort wherein you unjustifiably detain a person without legal warrant within the boundaries you set. No? With the boundaries you set. For example, hindi nagbayad yung isang tao sa kanyang hospital bill. Hindi siya makalabas kasi sabi mo, hindi ka pwedeng lumabas dahil hindi ka pa bayad. No? That's already considered, no, false imprisonment. Okay? That's false imprisonment. Because it's unjustifiable, no, to detain a person on a space, no, without legal warrant. Eh sir, di nga po nagbayad eh. Bakit lalabas? Because in the law, there's a law, anti-hospital detention bill, where it says hindi ka pwedeng makulong sa loob ng ospital if you cannot pay for your hospital bills. Okay? Another type of intentional tort is yung tinatawag na invasion of privacy, breach of confidentiality. No? Invasion of privacy, yan yung pagpasok mo sa space na kino-consider personal ng tao, na ayaw niyang or you expose the space, no, sacred to the client, no, to other people, that's invasion of privacy then, or you breach the confidentiality, no, you divulge the information to other people about your patient, no, unofficial na pag-divulge ng information, that's breach of confidentiality. Okay. Defamation, on the other hand, is another type of unintentional tort, or rather, intentional tort. Okay, defamation is actually character assassination in the form of written, which is libel, or oral defamation, which includes slander. Okay, which includes slander. Now, crimes can also happen in the healthcare setting. No, now it can your crimes can be classified as either misdemeanor, no, light offense lang, felony, yun yung grave offense. Okay, so crimes can have two components, the criminal act and the criminal intention. So these two should be present to establish crime. Okay, there's a criminal intent, criminal act. Okay? Crimes can also be accomplished by principals, meaning yung mga taong directly identified doon sa criminal action, sila yung gumawa, no? Sila yung nagplano, okay? Those are principals, okay? Accomplices, on the other hand, are the people who indirectly participated in the action by giving advice, no, giving information, giving and the likes, no. And also accessories, no, or those who yung mga kinasangkapan para makumpleto yung inyong criminal act. Okay? Now, felonies can be classified in the manner of execution. Crimes, no, yung mga malalalang crime can be classified according to execution. Okay? It can be unattempted, ibig sabihin nag-consummate yung attack, nag-execute yung criminal action pero hindi siya natuloy, no? That's attempted. While frustrated is a crime that has been executed, no? Tapos yung intention ay yung action ay nag-manifest pero yung intention hindi na kumpleto. For example, hindi siya napatay, no? Totally after the criminal act. That's frustrated murder or homicide, no? While consummated is the fully executed action, no? Fully executed crime, no? Consummated. Okay? Now, your crimes can also be, or your actions can be justified or can be aggravated by different circumstances. No? When we say justifying circumstances, these are circumstances that reduces the liability, or justifies your action, your criminal action, kung bakit mo nagawa yun. So when we say justifying circumstances, these are circumstances na nagsasabing tama lang, hindi naman tama lang. Kaya pala niya ginawa iyon kasi mayroong mga circumstances na ganito. For example, no, you acted in self-defense. No? When you acted in self-defense, no, the action itself, no, is justified because of the word self-defense. However, we need to also establish self-defense. Okay? Because in self-defense dapat, no, equal or commensurate doon sa amount of threat na natanggap mo yung action mo na ginawa in self-defense. No, kunwari kukurutin ka, hindi mo naman dapat sasampalin. 'Di ba? That's not self-defense, no? Lumaban ka rin. So that's actually not justifying circumstance. Dapat equal lang. Okay? Next is yung tinatawag na exempting circumstances, or the circumstances that exempts you from criminal liability. Okay? Either because you are number one, you're not on the age of minority, no? Or you're greater than 60 years old, no? Na-exempt ka na sa criminal liability, pero nandun pa rin yung action, no? Na-establish pa rin yung action. Also, in exempting circumstances are those who are mentally challenged. No, any crimes committed by mentally challenged people, those are uh, those are exempting circumstances kasi they are not of sound mind. No, kaya minsan no, kung mapapansin niyo may mga kriminal na nag-acting na wala siya sa isip because they want to be exempted of the consequences of their action. Well, they have to prove that in court. No? Next is also your mitigating circumstances or the circumstances that minimizes no the gravity of your action. Okay? Ito yung mga times na kapag ikaw ay sumuko, no, umamin na ikaw ay may kasalanan, no, that's a mitigating circumstance which lessens your criminal liability or the gravity of your or the impact of your criminal action. But when we say aggravating circumstance, these are circumstances that aggravates, no, nagdadagdag, no, adds salt to injury, no, nag-aggravate nung circumstance, nagpapalala nung crime mo, no. So when you use your position in government to commit a crime, when you use your position as a nurse, no, as a head nurse or administrative position in the hospital to gain or to easily get, no, to easily accomplish your crime, then that's an aggravating circumstance. No? Alternative circumstance are those circumstances that can be mitigating or sometimes aggravating. No? Kapag ang isang ah, kapag ang isang circumstance ay hindi ma-classify as mitigating, no, or alternative circumstance, yun yung yun ay tinatawag na alternative circumstance. For example, in a case of rape, kapag lasing yung offender, no, hindi malaman kung aggravating ba siya kasi kung lasing ka pwedeng na na ano ka na na provoke ka or you use yung pagiging lasing mo para mas maging aggressive ka. So that's an aggravating circumstance. But you can also say that mitigating circumstance ang pagiging lasing sa rape dahil lasing ka nga eh. Hindi mo alam yung ginagawa mo. So you cannot classify no being drunk as either aggravating or a mitigating circumstance in that particular case. So ganun ang alternating or alternative circumstance. Okay? Now, once you've been filed with a criminal case, you will undergo a legal procedure and trial, no, which commences no on the commencement of action, no. Magkakaroon ng pleading, pre-trial, and the actual trial itself, no. So after the presentation of evidence, magbibigay ng judgment, mayroong appeal. So kung wala ng appeal at natapos na yung appeal period, i-execute na yung judgment. Okay? Now, another important aspect or legal aspect in nursing is the honoring of contract or an agreement between two people or two persons or two parties with respect to the other to give some kind of service to the other. Now, contracts can be formal, ibig sabihin written, nakasulat, or informal or pinag-usapan lang. So any contract na pinag-usapan, may agreement, kahit nakasulat man yan or hindi nakasulat, kapag may agreement, that's contract. Okay? Formals contracts can be also classified either as expressed or implied. Pag sinabing expressed, malinaw sa usapan na ganito ang kasunduan ninyo. Okay, that's expressed. While implied contracts are those contracts whose provisions no are implied but not uh, but not but not explicitly stated no doon sa kasunduan or sa contract. Okay? There are also contracts na tinatawag na void or illegal. Pagka void ang iyong contract, walang bisa, no? Pero hindi ibig sabihin illegal. Okay? Pag sinabing illegal naman yung contract, your contract is against no any rules of law, okay? Making it also a void. So kapag ka void, hindi necessarily illegal, pero pag illegal, definitely it will be void. Okay? Walang bisa. Now, when we say requisites, no, for having a contract, dapat mayroong two or more person na nagpa-participate, no? You cannot start a contract within yourself. no? Siguro mga self-help na activities lang, pero in terms of law, there should be two or more persons who must participate in the contract, and that they must be involved to give consent, no, to the contract, and that the cause of obligation is established, and that parties must be in legal capacity. Now, another important legal document that we need to be cognizant of is yung tinatawag na wills, or the legal declaration of a person's intention upon death. It can take effect, no? The wills, tandaan po, will always take effect when the author dies. Okay? When the author dies. Now, those who make the will are called testators, while those who receive the benefit of the will are called heirs. No? A person can die with a will, so they die testate. But when they die without a will, they die intestate. Okay? So another method of transferring benefits or transferring properties is through the use of gift. No? Now, gifts can be in the form of personal property, no, financial property, no, as long as it holds some economic value. Now, gifts can be initiated when a person dies. No? No? Uh, ang tawag doon is donatio in causa mortis. No? Donation in cause of a death. No? Ibina-transfer yung kanyang property when a person dies to other people na meron siyang legal connection. Okay? So here are the 4 legal requirements, no, for your gifts, no. Number 1, the gift must consist of personal property. Number 2, there must be intention to make the gift. Number 3, there must be an indication of transfer of control over such property, and that there must be acceptance by the recipient. That's the last of my slide for this lecture. If you have any questions, you may send a message, no, through my messenger account, or you can start a discussion in our Facebook group. Have a nice week.